Now that the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise has come to an end, and especially now with James Gunn being the co-CEO of DC Studios, we've all been wondering, will Dave Bautista jump over to the DCU? And there's been so many reports out there and rumors and just fan castings of Dave Bautista in various different roles over at DC. But there's been obviously no concrete information, but it would obviously make a lot of sense. I mean, Dave Bautista is really close with James Gunn, and honestly, out of the whole Guardians of the Galaxy cast, I think he's the most deservedly of joining the DCU. I mean, you look at when James Gunn was fired from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 by Disney, Dave Bautista was the one that was most ride or die with James Gunn, and he was like by his side the whole entire time. So yeah, he deserves it. Also, Dave Bautista is a great actor, and obviously his character as Drax was very one note. He was very kind of the comedic relief, dumb character for the most part. But we've seen in some more recent roles of his that he's really, really talented. He's not just another dumb WWE wrestler turned actor. He's actually pretty good. He has shown range. And that's something very similar that happened with John Cena. And John Cena is, of course, now one of the stars of the DCU as well as Peacemaker. So again, we've all been kind of assuming and hoping, at least I've been hoping, that Dave Bautista would join the DCU. And now he has given us our biggest tease yet, as just yesterday he posted on his Instagram story a photo of him sitting down, parking himself in the official parking spot of James Gunn on the Warner Brothers lot of DC Studios. So, right there, clearly he's at Warner Brothers. He's probably going to see James Gunn. Is it a DC related meeting? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it could just be, it could always just be like, hey, we're friends. You want to just hang out and have lunch or something. But James Gunn's a busy guy. He's a co-CEO of the studio. So maybe he's not taking out of time from work to just chat with a friend. Maybe he is taking time in work to chat with a friend. And the chatting with the friend is the work. That's a big possibility there. And again, Dave Bautista joining the DCU would not at all be surprising to me by any means. But the question, of course, would be, who will he play? And, I mean, there's the obvious answer. There's Bane. Dave Bautista has been fan cast as Bane for a long, long time now. Dave Bautista himself has really made it clear that he wants to play Bane. He really loves his character and he wants to bring the character to life. But in recent years, he has said that he does feel that he's too old for the role now. And I agree. I mean, if he was cast as Bane, I would still absolutely love it. I still think it's a great casting idea. But yeah, he is definitely probably still on the older side for the role. So that does kind of suck. But, and especially he did say that, he's talked to James Gunn about it. And yeah, I mean, especially you look at James Gunn's recent castings with specifically Superman Legacy, they are casting young. David Corenswet in his 30s, early 30s. Pretty much the whole cast of that is young. Nicholas Hoult, a young Lex Luthor. They're casting young for this universe. So I'm really not thinking that Bane is a possibility at this point for Dave Bautista. But what about something like a Lex Luthor? Now, this one obviously is, Nicholas Hoult hasn't officially signed on the dotted line yet, but it was reported that he's been cast in the role. So we already have a Lex Luthor, but while we're talking about it, I just wanted to toss this idea out there in this video just to talk about it, just entertain the idea of what if, because I've seen a lot of people fan cast him as Lex Luthor because, again, he has shown recently a lot of range. And it would be really cool, admittedly, to have Lex Luthor who is just as big and muscular as Superman. I think that would be a really interesting approach and would be comics accurate to some iterations of the character. But again, Nicholas Hoult seemingly has been cast in the role, so that's not going to happen. But what about Hugo Strange? Now, this may be a bit of a, out of the box idea here, but this is another one that I have seen a lot of people fan cast him in the role of. Again, you wouldn't think a WWE wrestler turned actor would be considered for a role like this mad scientist, but I could see it. I could totally see it working. He's kind of got the look for the character. I wouldn't mind it. And also, I mean, Hugo Strange is just a great Batman villain, so I'd love to see him be involved. Whether that is, obviously in the DCU, we know we're getting a new Batman with Brave and the Bold, or, it could possibly be in Matt Reeves' The Batman universe. You never know, but Hugo Strange, I think, would be a really, really interesting pick for Dave Bautista. Now, one that I think is actually pretty likely is Kilowog, because we know the Green Lanterns, they're going to be playing a pretty large role in the DCU. We've got a Green Lantern series in development for Max. We have Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion, coming into the fold with Superman Legacy. There's rumors of, I did a video the other day about some leaks of upcoming projects that haven't been announced yet, such as a Lobo movie, which supposedly the Green Lanterns will be involved there as well. So somewhere in the mix here, with these Green Lanterns, we've got to get Kilowog. Kilowog is a core character of the Green Lantern Corps, one of my favorite members of the group, and I mean, it would be a CGI character, obviously, so Dave Bautista would just be doing the voice, maybe motion capture for it, but I think that would be interesting. I think, obviously he has the deep kind of booming voice that would work for a character like Kilowog. Kilowog's just a great character, so I think that would work really well. And if you want to keep it in the Green Lantern space, maybe just as a one-off villain, you could have him play Green Lantern villain Atrocitus, of course, leader of the Red Lanterns. Now, just one last little villain shout out there. Maybe Mongul. I mean, we haven't heard anything about Mongul being the villain in Superman Legacy, but maybe a future Superman movie, we could see Mongul come into play, possibly. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, these are all great options. I wouldn't mind any of these castings, but I saw somebody suggest this idea on Reddit, and I just fell in love with the idea, and I think it is fantastic. What about Ted Grant, aka Wildcat? My God, this is great, because if you think about it, it's really perfect. I mean, Dave Bautista said he probably can't play Bane anymore because he's too old. Wildcat is a perfect character where he's a very physically fit, in shape, ready to fight superhero character, but he is on the older side. Ted Grant is an old guy, but I mean, Dave Bautista really isn't even that old either. Like, I don't know exactly how old he is. He's probably in his 50s, I would assume, maybe 60s. I don't really know. I'm thinking probably 50s. But either way, I think Ted Grant would be a great character. I mean, obviously, especially bringing the fact that Dave Bautista was a wrestler. Ted Grant isn't necessarily a wrestler. He's a boxer. But, I mean, still, the similarities are there. And Wildcat is just a really great character. One of my favorite DC characters growing up that I really fell in love with from multiple cartoons, including Justice League Unlimited, and more notably, Batman, the Brave and the Bold. I really love this character. I think he's a great character, and I think you could do a really cool, interesting Wildcat movie. I think that would be a fantastic idea. Now, obviously, there's the other obvious choice for Wildcat, which would be Sylvester Stallone. I mean, obviously, there's, the boxing connection with Rocky right there, and also, again, he's on the older side, but we do also have already Stallone as the voice of King Shark in the DCU. Well, at least DCEU. We don't know if he's continuing. We don't know about any future Suicide Squad projects. But anyway, that could be interesting as well. But Dave Bautista in the role, I really like. We've seen a previous version of Ted Grant in live action in the Stargirl TV series. Now, that was a very brief appearance from the character because, spoiler alert, pretty much all of the original JSA got killed off in the first episode, so we didn't get to see much of him. But what we did, his costume was super comics accurate. So there's the potential for a live action Wildcat to work and to just tell a really good story. I mean, this broken old man who is still into boxing, I think that could be really cool. Think about Rocky or one of the Creed movies. I love the Creed movies. Think about Creed or Rocky, but for DC. I think that would be fantastic. And again, you can also bring in the JSA. Of course, we got a version of the JSA in Black Adam. Will those versions continue? Most of them, I'm thinking probably not. Aldous Hodges Hawkman is the most likely. But I mean, yeah, bring in the JSA. Wildcat is a core member of that. We've had other members of the group introduced, or not introduced yet, but at least cast for Superman Legacy, such as Mr. Terrific and Hawkgirl, and I think maybe Metamorpho is part of the team sometimes as well. I would love to get a great JSA team. I think that would be really cool. You know, get some Dr. Fate up in here, get some Wildcat, some Hourman, all that stuff. I think that would be really awesome. But in conclusion, Dave Batista should join the DCU, and he may have just teased that he is. He may have just be going to have lunch with James Gunn. We never know, but this is the biggest tease yet of him joining the DC universe, and I think these are some great ideas. Who would you want to see Dave Batista cast as in the DC cinematic universe? Again, you know, these are all great options. I would still love to see him as Bane, but my top pick now is Ted Grant, aka Wildcat. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep it to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.